we move forward with the innovative startup stories, I would like to invite another global ambassador of GCPIT, who's a representative of GCP. I request the other participants to kindly mute, sorry, the speakers to kindly mute till I complete the introductions. Thank you. So I would like to invite a representative of GCPIT, and they are striving towards the change makers, being the change makers locally with the help of international audience. And one such global ambassador is Ms. Pratibha, and I invite her to share her vision and mission as the global ambassador for GCPIT. She is the founder and director of Pratibha's Ornate Image Consulting, which is a certified image consultant firm, and she's also under the curriculum of Council Institute of Image Management USA. So over to you, Ms. Pratibha.
Thank you, Dr. Mishma. Very good evening, everyone. I am Pratibha Gupta. I'm the Global Ambassador for GCP IT. Super glad to be part of this Technology Summit 2020. And I'm the Ambassador for Brand India Global Mission. And humbled to share that have trained and transformed around 4,500 plus lives and help them to transfer from a person to a personality. By being part of this mission, I feel we'll be receiving a global visibility which will help and privilege to train much more women employees globally and help them to achieve the women empowerment. At the same time, help them to face the challenges in the life, at the same time to bounce back post the sabbatical leave, stress management, or should be a leadership style, or even especially on how to break stereotypes and create an awareness as about the superwoman syndrome, by which we feel we give them the right environment for the superwoman leaders and then help them to achieve what they're really looking forward for. As I strongly believe, women must be the CEO of their life, as they can achieve and set the stage and compose what they really want to be. As my mission and purpose of life is to help 1 million individuals to achieve, discover the hidden persona, which is sometimes enveloped in a shell, just like a pearl in an oyster. So look forward to empower 1 million women individuals. Thank you for the opportunity. You're on the mute, Mishma.
Thank you. Yeah, it happens. So thank you, Ms. Pratibha. More energy to you and all the best in your future endeavors. Thank you. So quoting Steve Jeffs, a marketing expert, innovation is the unrelenting drive to break the status quo and develop a new where few have dared to go. So today we have with us such innovators who have dared to go down the path of breaking the status quo and bringing to us their innovative startup stories at the Global Technology Summit 2020. And our first storyteller for today is Mr. Shiv Agarwal. He is the CEO of My Earth ID. Mr. Shiv is a global thought leader in the identity and blockchain space with over 16 years of industry experience. He is currently leading My Earth ID towards building a decentralized identity management platform with the vision of providing a universal ID to all human beings. He has been a keynote speaker at various international conferences, including at the US Capitol and UK Parliament. He is also the leading government blockchain association in UK and Europe. So over to you, Mr. Shiv.
Thank you, Ishma, for the kind introduction, and thank you, Global Technology Summit, for giving me this opportunity to basically share the good work that we are doing at Earth ID. So let me present my screen very quickly, and please, if somebody can confirm if you're able to see the screen.
Sure. Yes, we are able to see that. Go ahead, Mr. Shiv.
Fine. So I think Bishma has already introduced myself, so I'm not going to repeat that. And I just want to basically, in my 15 years of experience working with global enterprises, I've realized that there's a massive cost of identity thefts and frauds, having both financial and reputational implications. Some of the large financial institutions are spending over $500 million annually on their customer due diligence processes. Additionally, the risk and cost of non-compliance with data protection guidelines could run into billions of dollars. In reality, identity management is a $1 trillion problem, with financial industry bearing the biggest brunt. So basically, it's like identity is a huge problem statement, right? And then when we look at the issues with digital identity, it's not a laughing matter. So I think the biggest challenge is with respect to impersonation, right? So when you are on internet, when you are interacting with people or services, There's no way of figuring out whether you are an animal or you are a bot or a human, and that is where basically a lot of challenges arise. And then basically it's about identity thefts, right? So if you are using digital services, if you are on internet, a lot of times data breaches happens, a lot of times your identities are stolen, and then they are misused, and they are basically misused for a lot of fraudulent purposes as well. And then lastly, I think we all understand, right? We have too many credentials, right? In a lifetime, basically, people maintain more than 100 digital identities, which includes your online credentials as well. So it's a huge onus on the individual to kind of maintain so many different identities to interact with so many different services. And when we talk about digital identity, obviously the purpose of a digital identity is for us to be able to basically interact with digital services which are provided by so many different organizations across the world, right? But the problem is the way those identities are exchanged and how those identities are being verified, right? So I think all of us understand, right? So we have opened bank accounts, we have applied for insurance, we have basically got so many other information from so many different organizations, right? And when we basically do that, we have to basically jump so many hoops. We have to basically share this information in so many different formats. We have to basically have multiple interactions, and still basically after spending a lot of effort, and we are sometimes just still not able to access the right service. And from a organization point of view, it kind of basically creates a huge friction, and sometimes people lose interest in your services, right? So in that sense, the verification process, it's very, very frustrating for both the individuals as well as the service providers. And when we kind of basically try to find the root cause, I think one of the things is like the problem with respect to trust. How do we establish trust between the owner and the consumer of the identity information? So the owner is individuals like us, and then basically the consumers are the organizations who are trying to provide you services. The cost, so it's a huge cost, right? As I mentioned earlier, so organizations spending more than $500 million annually to basically do these verification processes, and also the cost of fraud, it runs into trillions of dollars. So in that sense, cost is a massive problem with respect to the identity verification processes as well. And then lastly, compliance, right? So we all of us know about GDPR in Europe. Now we are talking about PDPB in India. So there's so many data protection guidelines across the world which the organizations have to comply with, and they are very, very, very important because they protect the user privacy, they protect the user data, and that is why the organizations are responsible for being compliant. And the cost of compliance as well as non-compliance is very, very huge. So when we look at Earth ID, so Earth ID platform builds trust and removes friction. So the way it works is like, obviously when we talk about an identity, a digital identity, there is an issuer, basically for example, a government organization which provides your passport, or it could be a university which is issuing you a degree credential, or it could be basically, it could be an organization which is providing you an employee ID. So in that sense, there are issuers who issue you certain identities, and there's an owner, right? It could be you as an individual, or it could be an organization, or it could be a smart device as well. So in that sense, there's an owner of the identity that is being created. And then obviously then you have the verifiers, right? So verifiers are the service providers who want to verify the identity of someone before they can access their services. And what we have to do is like the what we have to understand is how do we basically connect them together so that there's a trust and there's no friction. So what Earth ID provides is like the user or the owner of the identity can create an Earth ID wallet, and then they can add their existing credentials, right? For example, all of us have physical identities like passport, driving license, Aadhaar, SSN. They can all be added to your digital ID wallet, and then they are validated with respect to authenticity, validity, and ownership. And then the other aspect is that the credential issuers can also now start directly issuing identities to your wallet. So your university can directly send your educational certificate directly to your wallet, or a professional curriculum, they can issue you a certificate, or basically maybe a health organization, they can issue you a health certificate. For example, in current pandemic situation, we are talking about COVID passports. So obviously when you go through a test, they can issue you a digital credential which basically approves that you don't have COVID, right? You're COVID safe. So in that sense, what is happening now is that the issuers are able to directly issue you an identity which goes into your wallet, and then they also create a proof of authenticity and validity. And this is an immutable proof using blockchain technology, so that nobody can basically refute it. And this is created by the issuer, so it has its own authenticity. And now what happens is, like, as an owner of the identity, since my identity is in my wallet, I can now share it with the verifiers or the service providers, and they can be banks, they can be insurance companies, they can be e-commerce platforms, they can be gaming platforms, or they can even be my employers, right? So I am able to share certain aspects about myself. It could be an entire document, or it could be certain fields that I want to share with somebody with respect to registration processes, or it could be as simple as that I'm trying to prove my age, my nationality, my gender. So I am able to, from my wallet, I have this control with respect to what I want to share with whom. And then what happens is, when the service providers, the verifiers, they receive this information, they can basically verify the authenticity and validity of this information directly from the blockchain. So this ensures that the trust is built by having that immutable proof of authenticity and validity, and your identities are digitized, so that there's no friction in terms of the end-to-end process of exchanging of information. So this is what Earth ID as a platform provides. And then when we move forward, Earth ID is actually powered by cutting edge technology. So we are using biometrics, because obviously when we talk about digital identities, our biometrics play a strong role. Obviously, we talk about fingerprints, we talk about iris scans, we talk about facial recognition. So Earth ID basically provides multimodal biometric technologies to offer most versatile human verification capability. And then we also provide anti-spoofing liveness tests. So we can prove that the person who's interacting with certain services, they are living human beings. They are not bots, they are not photographs, they are not recorded videos. And then we are also using decentralized or distributed ledger technology for basically, or the blockchain technology, as everybody understands, for basically creating that immutable proof of record, right? So it's basically, its purpose is for fraud prevention. And then lastly, we are basically using artificial intelligence to automate this entire process end to end, so that we can bring efficiency and accuracy to the processes. Earth ID provides following services. So obviously, because it's an identity management platform, so it provides identity management service. So obviously, a lot of innovative companies can use us for basically providing an edge, a competitive edge, and also basically manage the identity of their users. We also provide identity verification as a service, so you can do digital KYCs, right? So in India also now different organizations have been authorized to do digital KYC instead of doing those physical KYCs. So we do provide those services across more than 100 countries. Then selective data disclosure, as I was explaining earlier, you don't have to share your entire passport or driving license just to prove that you are an adult, right? So this is where Earth ID provides you a control with respect to what you are sharing with whom, and there's a specific purpose or intent of sharing that information. We also have a mechanism of trust score, which is an identity scoring similar to your credit or CIBIL score for your finances, right? But trust score is about your identity, and it can be used like an alternative credit score. And once your identity is on the phone or on the mobile wallet, you can also do passwordless logins. So you don't have to remember a user ID or password. You can basically just use your app or your facial recognition to logging into the digital platform. So you don't have to remember hundreds of different passwords. And lastly, you can use the same app or facial recognition to do physical access management. And basically, because of the pandemic situation, it becomes very, very crucial, right? So it provides a very, very a contactless and a keyless entry model. These are some of the potential applications across key industries. So I think everybody understands the applications across banking, finance, and insurance. So we talk about know your customer, fraud prevention, claims, and payments processing. So I think in the previous panel was talking about fintech, right? So we understand that fintech has to basically deal with a lot of identity verifications and fraud preventions and payments processing. So this basically sits really well with that industry. Even in telecom, we have to basically prove who we are before we can actually get a SIM card, right? So again, you can do client onboarding using Earth ID as a platform. In healthcare, there's a lot of innovation happening with respect to the identity of the patients, the identity of the doctors, and also how do you ensure that your health information travels globally, right? Because as of today, the healthcare information is sitting in silos, but with this technology, you can basically break those silos, and you can basically make your health information travel globally with you. Similarly, you can basically talk about education and employment, where you can use Earth ID to ensure that the degree certificates and the professional credentials, they are digitized, and then the associated frauds are removed. And then similarly, there's so many applications across many different industries, and even with respect to public sector, you can have basically identity and access management as potential use case. Moving on, so in summary, what is Earth ID? So Earth ID is an award-winning decentralized identity management platform that allows secure and frictionless exchange and verification of identity information. Earth ID helps organizations reduce identity frauds, save time, costs associated with customer onboarding processes while ensuring privacy and regulatory compliance. So these are some of the benefits of Earth ID, and Earth ID provides numerous benefits to its customers and users. Our innovative use of artificial intelligence and third generation distribution technology provides our customers with competitive edge. Earth ID provides identity management services across more than 100 countries, enabling multinational organizations to secure their digital as well as physical assets with just one partner while being compliant to the data regulations. Earth ID is globally recognized for its innovation in the digital identity space with applications across both public and private sectors. Earth ID is a finalist at India FinTech Awards for Best Innovations in RegTech and FinTech Startup of the Year. Earth ID is regularly covered by global media platforms including Forbes, Financial Express, and many more. Thank you very much. That's all from my end. Any questions?
Thank you so much, Shiv. So that was a great innovation and a great presentation. So first of all, congratulations for such a great innovation, and wishing you all the best going forward. So right now we don't have questions, but I'm sure the audience are going to get in touch with you to know more about it. So as you've explained, the numerous application that comes with Earth ID. So thank you so much for joining us with your presentation.
Thank you very much for having me.
So with that, I would like to invite our next innovative startup storyteller, Mr. Beki Gumede. He's the head of operations South Africa for Yellow Card Financial. He's an energetic entrepreneur, business savvy, open-minded, versatile, outgoing, innovative personality with a passion for disruptive new technology and committed to revision. Mr. Beki, can you mute your audio till I complete the introduction? Yeah, thank you. So, and committed to revolutionizing the way technology influences education, especially in our public schools and impoverished communities. He is also the Chief Financial Officer at UNDAL Technologies, which is an IT consulting firm involved in blockchain, crypto research and development, national IT projects, and also serving SMEs and the previously disadvantaged communities. His motto is knowledge without positive action is a wasted effort. So thank you for joining us. Over to you, Mr. Beki.
Thank you very much for the introduction, Doc. As been introduced, my name is Beki Gumede, Head of Operations for South Africa, Yellow Card. I'd just like to start with my journey with Yellow Card. My journey with Yellow Card began in 2018. I was approached by one of the founders of Yellow Card. They approached me, they headhunted me, they approached me. They were wanting to enter into the South African market at that time. And after lengthy talks and discussions, after hearing their story and their vision, it resonated with my ideology. That is of financial inclusion for the masses, which in turn will emancipate the people from financial enslavement, because we know traditional financial systems and tools have made people enslaved through the credit cards that have high rates, through home loans that got high interest rates, and also the savings that have been offered by the traditional banking systems offer very little returns and very little for the people. I'd like to start sharing a slide. My slide, just let me know. All right. Let me know if you're able to see the slide I'm sharing.
Sure, sir.
Can you see it now?
Not yet.
All right. All right. Give us a second.
Sure.
All right. I'd like just to start to give a brief introduction as to how Yellow Card was formed. Yellow Card was formed by two founders from the USA in Atlanta, Georgia. The names of Chris Maurice and Justin Perret. These guys were graduates. They had been trading in Bitcoin and selling Bitcoin from store to store. But where it actually began is when they met somebody at an intermediary shop where a man was trying to send $200 back home to Nigeria, and he was being charged $90, which is more than 40% of what he was sending. They were very disheartened by this, and this formed their decision to do something about it. Obviously, they approached the man and asked him if he would like assistance in sending money back home, a cheap and relatively easy way rather than the traditional remittance ways that he was using, which was taking half of the money he was sending back home. Obviously, the man was interested, and but the question came now is what would his family do back home when they received this Bitcoin? Because there was not many platforms back in Nigeria at that point in time that would people would be able to onboard and offboard fiat currency nairas. So how could they be served? And that took them to going down to Nigeria and doing a little bit of research and eventually forming a yellow card, starting with yeah, starting with Nigeria as the first country of entrance. But their point was they wanted to serve the underserved countries. Underserved countries, we look into the African continent, countries like Nigeria, but in particular the African continent, because we have about a population of 1.2 billion over that, which is unbanked, which don't have access to traditional banking systems. So Yellow Card is an American financial technology. It's a fintech startup, and what it wants to do, it wants to provide a financial infrastructure for the African continent to try and combat what I was just saying just now, that people need to get access into this new technology, into this new disruptive technology, which previously they've been disregarded and they were not part of. A lot of people in the African continent are still without bank account. Because of that, they are disregarded and don't have access into any of these financial inclusions or any of these financial assets or tools that they may use. So far, using our digital wallet, we've been able to load and unload using various ways of various platforms, using including a partnership that we have established in Nigeria using a bank account. Through that partnership, all customers who are yellow card customer, instantly the moment they register the account, they are able to get a bank account instantly, meaning whenever they need to take out their money, they are able to take it out. If they don't want to use the thousands and thousands of store locations where our merchants are, they can withdraw that money into their bank accounts, giving them a two-prong stone for two for the end of one, in terms of they are now able to have a digital platform, and also previously where they didn't have a bank account, they will have a bank account through our initiative in Nigeria. So we've done this through ATM networks and retail store networks, using obviously the world's leading asset, which is Bitcoin. But why did we decide to go into Africa? I will reiterate this. We decided to go into Africa because Africa as a whole, as a continent, has been excluded. It has been excluded from financial inclusion. And there is a population of more than 1 billion people which are unbanked. thus depriving them of things which are normal in Western countries, such as financial tools or financial services. Also, another reason we decided to come into Africa, because the masses have been excluded from financial inclusion, there's been a growing need for the people to use cryptocurrency. As a result, Nigeria in Africa, there's about 3 or 5 countries which are in the top 5 globally of users of Bitcoins or cryptocurrency. One of those countries, which I believe is number 3, is Nigeria. And the other one, which is, I believe, number 5 overall globally, is South Africa. That's another reason we decided to come to South Africa because of the thriving market for cryptocurrencies. Also, African consumers are using Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies to transfer these digital assets across borders. So people who work in other parts of Africa are able to use cryptocurrencies to be able to send money to their loved ones. Unlike the guy in USA who had to spend $90 just to send $200 through our platform and through cryptocurrency, people with ease of time seamlessly are able to send money to their loved one in a matter of minutes and at very, very limited cost or cheap cost. One of our great things that we've done through our platform is use a very straightforward approach in terms of integrations into point of sale systems throughout our merchants and other services, our service provider. So our API is very secure, but it's also a straightforward integration. It is not too technical for us to do an integration into a new merchant or into a retail outlet. It's very straightforward. But through our backend API, we've really enjoyed much success in these current markets that Yellow Card is in, which is a couple of countries within Africa and rapidly growing because of our offering. Our offering is a voucher which people are able to go into these locations where we are, and we've made sure that our locations are where the people are. So we are not far from the communities. People don't have to take taxis to go to banks. They can go to shops where they can just walk within where they work, where they live, where they stay. So it's a matter of just walking into any of these shops and redeeming their naira or rands in South Africa for the amount that they want to purchase any of the cryptocurrencies in our platform. And that process is instant. After purchasing the Yellow Card voucher, they are able to redeem however much they want to use purchasing cryptocurrency on our platform in a short space of time. One of the milestones that we've reached and that we've enjoyed in this year, I know 2020 has not been a good year for most people globally, but we must say, as a company, we've enjoyed quite some success. One of those success that in one country alone, where we started, obviously in Nigeria, over the past 11 months, we've processed about 165 millions worth of dollars in volume just over this past 11 months. And that's just in one country, in Nigeria. I'm not speaking about all the other countries that Yellow Card is fully operational in at the moment. Also, from a team of 6 people, our team has grown exponentially. From a team of 6 people in 2 countries, our team has grown to over 6 countries and over 80 members in different countries. And before the end of the year, we'll be releasing Yellow Card 2.0. And Yellow Card is fully operational in 5 countries currently, being Nigeria, South Africa, Botswana, Kenya, and Cameroon. And we will be adding a few more, 5 more by year end, and an additional 8 more. In Nigeria alone, we've got 80,000 store distribution network. So in a population of over 100 million people, people can have access into our platform or into our stores because of our distribution network that is all over Nigeria. through the 80,000 store network that we've got. What are we offering in our Local 2.0? We are offering new cryptos. So there'll be more added cryptos in our platform. We are looking at stable coins that we'll be adding, looking at Tether, looking at CUSD, CELO USD, looking at other various cryptocurrency tokens that we'll be adding and giving our customers more variety to be able to transact and save using this. Also, our new feature will mean our platform will have faster transaction. It was fast already, but now it's going to be lightning speed. Also, we bring increased security, and also we bring a new user interface. Our new platform now is looking like something else. It will give our customers an out of this world experience. But what I'm most excited about is the 12 new languages that we've integrated into our platform. These are local languages. When I say local, I'm speaking about African language that we've translated our platform into. So people don't need to read using using the international language, which is English. They'll be able to access our platform, read what is on the platform, how to translate, how to use it in their own local languages. In South Africa, there'll be Zulu, Afrikaans, Xhosa, and other many local languages, which is a very unique feature and offering for a cryptocurrency exchange. One of the goodest thing or one of the bonuses of using our platform and which many businesses have seen is people small businesses or owners are able to pay suppliers their wages or their credit without having to travel and do in-person payments and spending time away from their businesses. We know that in some countries to pay somebody or to buy something with fiat currency, you have to use a wheelbarrow to carry those notes because those notes are very huge. But with our platform, you are able to access this using digital wallet, which gives you first access into liquidity and also being able to transact using a digital wallet without having to hold on to fiat currencies. And also, people will love to get their wages paid in digital in digital because one, they don't want to receive hard currency for security reason and also to hedge against inflation, as we know that a lot of these African countries suffer from highest devaluation of currency. A lot of traditional financial institutions, the banking institutions, have suffered from people not using their platforms or not using their uh, offerings. This is because they have not been catered for to address the needs of the people. Instead, they've been these offerings by traditional financial institutions have been catered for to cater for the select few or for middle class to higher class people, whereas the masses are left in the dark and are left without anything. As a result, they are finding other solutions, which is using digital currencies such as platforms as a yellow card as a way of saving their disposable income and also trying to hedge against inflation of their currency. In conclusion, Yellow Card has identified the need for digital transaction banking for the unbanked in Africa. As a result, a lot of people in the ground are benefiting as a result of that. A lot of people are able to send money back home seamlessly without any issues, and also they are able to now save and create a financial portfolio for themselves because of the platform that we've provided for them at their doorstep. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Beke Gumede, for sharing your innovative startup story and wishing you all the best with Yellow Card 2.0 and hope it reaches the milestones as the previous version. So, thank you so much for joining us. And due to time constraints, we'll have to skip with the questions and you can probably interact with the audience in the chat. So, thank you. So with that, I would like to invite our next speaker sharing his innovative startup story, Mr. Abhishek Bhattacharya. Mr. Abhishek is the co-founder at WHRRL and was a product owner for the service product of PolicyBazaar.com, which is an Indian unicorn insurance aggregator. At WHRRL is building world's first agri-lending blockchain that can save 25 to 40% of farmers' income and protect banks from millions in regular frauds. He has been an advisor to several startups such as esports.com, Wiley, Blockchain Advisory Council, Nafcoin, etc. In his second book, Secure Chains, Cybersecurity and Blockchain-Powered Automation, it has been published in the BPB Publications, which is Asia's largest publisher for IT books. So with that, over to you, Mr. Abhishek.
Thanks a lot. Thank you, Dr. Mishma. Thank you, everyone, for being here today. It's really glad. I'm really glad to be presenting to such an audience. So let me take a moment and share my screen here. Kindly let me know once it's visible. I'll just have a very short presentation to run to guide us through what I want to share. Uh, is it
Yes,
visible?
yes, it's visible. Yeah, please go ahead.
Great. All right. So basically, what we are doing, what I've been building in the last 1.5 years, almost 2 years now, is we are building technically India's first agri lending platform on blockchain, and we are pretty sure it's Asia's first as well. And it's called World, and it's a B2B2C platform which is integrated across the banks, warehouses, as well as the collateral management agencies who take care of the quality assessment of the commodities, which we'll take a look at soon. And it's an integrated platform, and all the transactions happen on the blockchain. As you can see, we are supported by a wonderful network of organizations such as IIM Ahmedabad, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Creative Destruction Lab by University of Toronto, and so on. So, as I said, we are currently providing real-time agri loans, near real-time agri loans in the country, in India. This previously has been since the last quite a few years, since decades now. It has been a deal of around 7 or 10 or 12 days for a farmer to get a loan against his commodity, and so where this is warehouse receipt financing. And currently what we have done with this integrated platform is that we have cut that turnaround time from 7 days or 8 days to less than an hour, and sometimes even minutes. And on the other hand, we have made farmers free from visiting the banks at all and running post to pillar for accessing warehouse receipt finance. Now they can just enjoy this from the comfort of their home. So it covers, our entire platform covers the entire life cycle of warehouse receipt finance, which I'll quickly take a minute to share for the people who do not know what warehouse receipt finance is. It is one of the oldest, it is a very old way of financing for the agricultural sector, and it's a post-harvest finance. It starts from the point where customers, where farmers basically do the harvesting. They take it to a nearby warehouse, they submit it there, and eventually they take a receipt, warehouse receipt, against their deposit. This warehouse receipt can be taken to the bank, and against that they can take a loan for 3 or 6 months usually, and the loan that they get is up to 70% of the receipt value. So this has been this current market size for this post harvest finance is itself around 1 lakh crores in INR, and that entire life cycle is what world is covering as of yet. And why we brought this into picture is because the entirety of the market has been facing a lot of issues since the last few decades. Primarily, it has been millions and millions of dollars in frauds which we are targeting. So basically, big names such as there was one scandal in back in 2013 called Chingao scandal, where big names, and just very recently ICICI Bank in India. It shows I'm disconnected. I hope you can still see and hear me, right? It shows me I'm disconnected. Am I audible? Okay. All right, great. So even some time back, ICICI Bank in India faced $150 million in frauds, I guess. So every now and then, it's very regular. Banks are facing a lot of fraud. So that was the first target. That was the first issue that we targeted. Going ahead, there is another problem in this entire segment where there are a lot of intermediaries. These intermediaries cost eventually high, as well as they increase the turnaround time by a huge extent, which is what we are completely cutting. And the grassroots impact is something that we targeted since the very beginning, because currently 95% of this warehouse receipt finance reaches the traders. What we wanted to do is help those farmers who are currently only getting up to 5% of these warehouse receipt finance lendings. So that's what we were attempting to solve. And also this entire process was very manual, completely paper based. The receipt was actually paper form, which they took to the bank, and eventually they got the loan in 10 days. So that's something we have completely automated, and it is now online integrated on our platform, and takes help of the blockchain's core characteristics to eventually reach the target. So a quick look at what we are solving. So we've given the immutable electronic warehouse receipt, which was paper-based, completely paper-based till now. As I said, it's not only now electronic, but it's immutable as well, thanks to blockchain. This solves, by this we are able to curb 100% of borrower-related frauds, such as multiple lending on the same receipt, which was the core of many of these frauds that were happening. Also, the problem of fake receipts, something that goes away completely with blockchain in place. And also, essentially, many frauds happened because the lending happened in a fraudulent manner. The lending happened way beyond what the warehouse's capacity could have been. That is also something we are solving, because the blockchain has all the records, and it puts a limit to that. So that's what basically we solve. We have been very systematic, and we have planned very well while presenting this solution to the farmer customer segment, where because the farmers are definitely, it's a segment who are not very tech savvy. They do not have smartphones, sometimes not even one in one entire family. So only an Android app, which we have, but that was not solving the purpose. So the designing of the system has been very specific, is that since the last so many years, decades, they have been very accustomed to visiting the warehouse directly to take advantage of the warehouse receipt financing model. We have kept it same. We have not induced any change in their common behavior. Hence, we have provided a way to achieve the same target from the warehouse as well, which gives us a great opportunity to achieve the target, and which gives them the opportunity to continue with the process that they were doing since years now. So that's how our entire platform works. Not everything is on the blockchain. What exactly needs to be on the blockchain, the stakeholders that have to be on the blockchain and write to the blockchain, are which we have kept on the blockchain, such as the bank, warehouses, the collateral manager, without which, on not being on blockchain, we cannot curb the frauds. Farmers and traders and all those customers are totally off the blockchain. So that's mostly it. And currently, I would love to share our traction as of yet, and what we've been able to achieve in the last 8 to 9 months, especially during the COVID time itself. So we are currently across 5 states in the country of India. Major one being Maharashtra, where we are covering entirety of 1,250 warehouses by the state government, which gives us more than 2 million metric tons in warehousing capacity. That's more than 1% of India's entire warehousing capacity. Our partner State Bank has allocated 2,000 crores in INR for 370 million around for as a corpus for being routed via us. And we are partnered with more than 2 lenders. We are partnered with entire warehousing corporations. Also, Experian and Sibyl from Europe, they have been in touch with us to build a model for credit trading, which is non-existent in this particular category. They want to build that with us, and take our entire solution outside India as well, because their footing is outside India primarily. So, and we are currently into major banks as well, as you can see. So that is something, the traction and the social impact we've been able to achieve is what is allowing us to go through. And we have been able to help a lot of farmers only in the state of Maharashtra itself. Looking forward to what we can cause as an impact across the other states of the country. And what we believe is, what we are doing is using blockchain not as a force fit. Rather, we are using blockchain in a very specific target, very specific use case, where the Indian government, the state governments, and all are benefiting hugely. And the kind of traction we've received from government, industry, as well as academia, has confirmed that for us. So that's what we've been doing in blockchain, and how we've been faring till now. Happy to have questions. That was all I had to share. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mr. Abhishek, for sharing that, and thank you for doing so much for the farmers here in India. And that's quite a lot you've achieved in the last 9 months, you say. So, wishing you all the best going forward, and wishing you that you achieve further milestones. And so, we have a question as to kindly share your views regarding the technology upgradation or Industry 4.0 revolution, employment impact. Is that something you want to take up?
Okay, that's not very. So that's the entire employment part is not something that I don't believe I'm the correct person to comment on. There are much more learned people than I am for that. But the technology 4.0 and involvement of blockchain into it is definitely very visible across all the solutions that we are seeing as of yet. Not only ours, Shiv presented as at first 30 minutes back, and that's a beautiful solution on blockchain with great people involved in his project. Mr. Bheki doing it in Africa. Everyone is doing such great work in blockchain, which is definitely opening grounds and opening new doors for talent across employment across the industry, focusing on industry 4.0, which is what I believe that I can say. Yeah. If there are no questions, then I'm happy to I'm happy to provide my email. I've provided there, and I'm provided my LinkedIn as well. Happy to connect. Thank you, Dr. Mishma, and thank you, Global Technology Summit.
Thank you so much, Mr. Abhishek. I'm sure the audience will get in touch with you, and all the very best.
Thanks a lot.
So, with that, I would like to invite Mr. Shamir Taha to share his innovative startup story. Mr. Shamir is the Global Chief Strategy Officer for Accubits Technologies in UAE, United States, and India. He's a serial entrepreneur turned business leader who's passionate about building highly efficient and performing teams focused on innovation and emerging technologies. He believes AI and blockchain have the capability to augment our abilities to innovate and push this world forward for good. He has authored and published a book on the impact of IT on the financial sector during a financial crisis. He is also the executive director for IX Focus UAE and the founder and CEO of Decide Quick India. So over to you, Mr. Shamir.
Thank you. It's a real pleasure to be here with you all. So today I would like to spend a few minutes to talk about some of the innovative stuff that we've been doing at Accubits, especially during challenging times, which is of COVID-19. So if I may, I can share my screen. Just a moment. So one of the innovative products that we've been working on ever since COVID-19 kind of struck us is a product called Rebuild the Chain, which is contrary to breaking the chain. And one of the innovative things that we've been working on is figuring out how to help governments and nations overcome the challenge of managing disinformation around COVID-19, contact tracing, and case management in general. But a bit of a background about Accubits. We are headquartered in the US with about 9 offices today. We've been working with some of the federal government agencies in the US, namely NASA, USPS, USGS. I'm based out of Dubai. We've also been instrumental in deploying some of the first production grade projects on blockchain, especially with the Dubai Land Department and Smart Dubai. So a bit of a background about Rebuild the Chain. We started this with a vision of protecting humanity from the catastrophic effects of the pandemic, purely from a carrier tracking and a non-pharmaceutical intervention technique. As we understood that the propagation or the time by which vaccines would be commercially available in masses would take some time, this was the approach that we had taken. Even when vaccines are now being deployed, it would literally take a long time for it to be distributed and made available to the masses. So how do we actually flatten the curve? And this is what we looked at. And obviously, looking at a solution like this, it isn't just a technology solution. It has to have impact on you need to consider the governance of how this is going to be deployed, other socioeconomic factors as well. So some of the challenges, we've been working with over 100 nations plus today, and the common set of challenges across the board were that you couldn't really enforce social distancing. How do you enforce that? Again, with limited data that is available and inaccuracy in the data, how do you actually figure out how you can actually overcome this pandemic? So we looked at the Sears model of the outbreak to figure out certain aspects of social distancing, understanding exposure analysis beyond just contact tracing, as we understand today that the virus can actually remain on hard surfaces as well, not just human to human transmission, but also human to surface to human transmission. So those were things that we considered when we started to build a platform that could actually help healthcare departments like Ministry of Health, clinics and hospitals, etc. So in a nutshell, what we really built was a platform that had 5 core aspects, starting from a pre-screening and um, diagnosis, a module that can literally help in assisting people who are asymptomatic and maybe in self-isolation, a contact tracing module that would look beyond just Bluetooth-based contact trace, and also help developing economies. As we understand, smartphone penetration may not be a lot, especially in developing nations. So we had to look at platforms beyond iOS and Android, looking into iOS, and also to consider feature phone users. So these were some of the things, and obviously, as I mentioned, exposure analysis, which also considers hot zones or micro level hot zones. And last but not the least, um, you know, we understand that the lockdowns aren't really a way to actually go forward. It has a serious impact on the social and economic fabric of nations. So we need to have economies work, and the way to do that is to enable a health passport or a digital health passport. So we deployed a blockchain-based pandemic health passport, which would allow users to show their health status when they've been tested, what were the results of those tests, and allow them to go about doing their activities normally. So that's what we built. A quick comparison or a product market fit. There were quite a few products in the market that did certain things really well, including contact trace. But where we really figured our sweet spot was that we were looking at it from an end-to-end perspective to effectively manage a pandemic or any future pandemics. And that's another thing. So this platform is not just built with COVID-19 in mind. Every nation that we spoke to said, we'll overcome this, but what about the next? And it's not a black swan event. It's a predictable event. We've had the multiple events in the past, so we need to be prepared for the next. So what we really looked at is an end-to-end contact, a solution which looks at test and trace or track and trace to now mass testing, allowing us to look at vaccine traceability. So it has and case management as well. So it has an end-to-end system which also provides a health card. So let me just quickly introduce the platform. But before I do, we started working as a federal version. We now have enterprise versions, mainly to help organizations protect their employees and workforce, because the solution is not just a top-down from a ministry or a government level. It also has to be from the grassroots levels. We are also looking at something which helps the aviation and the travel sector purely from a health passport-based system. So the platform has a few things. We have a citizen-side application. We have a government-side application as well. Quickly, this is what the main application looks like. It provides detailed insights. It provides statistics, some very interesting things. So, you onboard, you have a pre-screening. But what's interesting is that we follow the CDC and the WHO guidelines. We're probably one of the few platforms that is GDPR compliant as well as PEPP compliant, which is a pan-European privacy preserving protocol for contact tracing, as well as D3PT, which is the decentralized protocol for contact tracing, which makes it a highly reliable and secure platform. And the way that we do that is by decoupling any personal identifiable information from any relevant information that's useful for doing an exposure analysis or a contact trace. That is one of the reasons why we've been accepted in some of the European countries. We are currently doing deployments in Cameroon. We've already started the deployment in Cameroon, and also in the state of Brasilia in Brazil. So some of the key features, as I just roughly spoke about, we've ability to integrate with self-test kits. We provide live view for users to see spread of infections in and around their area. We have a color-coded QR code-based health card, which shows when you've been tested, where you've been tested, what is the validity of your test, and now we are also allowing users to test or verify the accuracy or validity of the test kits as well. And this allows us to, and behind the scenes, we're also providing an end-to-end traceability of the vaccine management as well. As you can see now, in UK and here in the UAE, vaccines are being made available to general public. So this is becoming quite important. So there are various other integrations that we've also looked at. In the UAE, for instance, there are disinfection tunnels that are being deployed at various centers, especially in the international airport in Abu Dhabi, the government offices. We've integrated with the tunnel to actually verify the validity of the person that's actually entering in, and the health or the temperature readings that are actually updated back into the health card as well. On the government side, it's quite comprehensive. In the interest of time, I'll just touch upon a few aspects of it. So we have a very comprehensive dashboard. We look at supporting the healthcare authorities to understand the resource requirement as well. Based on the Sears model, we predict the amount of hospitalization that would come up in certain districts. What kind of new test kits or equipments would be required. We have an epidemic calculator based on the Sears model as well. Of course, there are zonal alerts. Contact tracing, as I said, is far more comprehensive because it's not just limited to Bluetooth-based contact trace. So that's in a nutshell that what we have. What I'd like to touch upon is the fact that one of the primary concerns when you talk about a solution like this, especially when you're talking about healthcare data, is about data privacy. And this has been the number one key point that we've been addressing everywhere, be it Europe, in the Middle East, Southeast Asia. Everyone has been pinning on this one point, and which is why we've taken utmost care when it comes to data privacy and security. We've followed a 10-point checklist from the Chaos Computer Club in Germany, and we've made sure that we can align ourselves with all the 10 points that they've asked for us. So that's in a nutshell what we've done. And one of the backdrop of why we were able to do this is partly because of the experience that we've had working with health authorities, as well as with other field tracking solutions with telecom operators as well.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Shamir, for joining us and sharing your innovative startup story. And like you said, this may not be the only pandemic. So hopefully this app can be deployed in other cities and other countries as well. And we look forward to it and wishing you all the best in your endeavors.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So with that, we'll move to the next innovative startup story. And this is the last story for today. And we have with us Mr. Sony Gabriel. So Mr. Sony has over 24 years of experience in the IT industry, and where he has handled diverse roles like program management, functional and technical consulting, pre-sales, business development, marketing and operations. And Mr. Sony has domain expertise in telecom and financial services. Mr. Sony's experience ranges from product startups like Metratech Corp in US, and which is now part of Ericsson, to IT services majors like IBM Global Services. Sony is currently the CEO and co-founder of Minerva Software, a boutique data analytics firm focused on AI-enabled lending solutions for any financial institution with a loan book. The product TRAICE is an early warning loan portfolio management system that plays a proprietary self-learning algorithm augmented by alternative big data sources to accurately predict risk and generate timely suggestions for loss mitigating interventions. So over to you, Mr. Sony.
Thank you, Dr. Mishma. I hope everyone can hear me well.
Yes, we can.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I know it's a global event and I'm the last speaker of the day, so I'll try to keep it short and sweet. I'll switch to my presentation. Please let me know when you're able to see this. Are you able to see the presentation?
Sorry. Yes, we are able to see that, Mr. Sony.
Okay, good. So I'll be talking today about the product trace that we have built. But before that, Minerva Software, like Dr. Mishma said, it's a data analytics company. And I want to thank GCPIT, Dr. Mishma, and all the team at GCPIT, and also Kerala Startup Mission for providing me this opportunity. I'd like to talk about the product trace that we built, which at the core of it is an early warning portfolio management system for business lenders. Right. Now, the thought process behind Trace, we started thinking about Trace around October of last year. That was much before COVID was anywhere in the horizon. But at the same time, bankers were talking about an impending recession because the world economy was shrinking. And they were talking about 3 to 5% portfolio delinquency. That was way back in December 2019. And that's when we conceived the idea of building something like an early warning system. But with COVID, what has happened over the last 10 months or so has been the fact that we are now staring at a really dire situation where it could be 10 to 30% loan portfolio delinquency. Now, the lender's dilemma. So when we look at a business lender, now it could be a bank, it could be a credit union, it could be a cooperative bank, it could be any alternate lender. What they all do really well today is quality loan origination. But unfortunately, that is not an indicator of ongoing portfolio risk. Now, too many defaulting customers are expected. The key question that they have is, how do I know who will be delinquent and who do I go after first? And this was one of the problems that we were trying to solve with our product. Now, it's not that there are no options for portfolio monitoring today, but sadly, they are mostly very reactive. I'm not talking about the top, 1% of the bank, like the Citibank or banks like that. But for any other mid-sized bank or lending institution, the options that are available today are unfortunately quite reactive. They rely on business customer data like financial statements or credit bureau reports, which are neither timely nor actionable. Usually, the financial statements come with a 6-month to 12-month lag. The credit bureau reports, though they appear monthly, they're not actually timely for people to take timely actions. Right. Now, portfolio monitoring consumes a lot of bandwidth for the operations team. So you have a limited operations team, and they do it in a very mundane and manual manner today. Now, imagine a bank or a lending institution with 10,000 or 100,000 customers. Ongoing monitoring of the delinquency risk of the portfolio in a daily manner or a weekly manner is really cumbersome to do at a large scale. Now, we saw an opportunity to actually build data infrastructure, build interfaces with credit bureaus, and effectively build a solution which can proactively monitor and predict which business in those portfolio might go delinquent. Right. So what we do here is we take the data, we take multiple data sources, and we also enrich it with social or newsfeed data, which comes from public data, right? So that's one of the capabilities that we have built over time. And we also integrate all of this with the financial institutions' workflows, and we automate all of the above. Now, our solution Trace, it's an early warning portfolio management system. It can proactively monitor and predict which businesses will go delinquent. We like to call it an augmented intelligence system because what we are essentially doing is combining a bank's internal data with credit bureau data along with third-party sources such as news feeds and public media outlets. And with all of this, we have algorithms in the backend which calculates the probability of delinquency weekly or any required frequency using up-to-date data and tracking it over time. With this, we can alert banks ahead of time about future defaults so they can take early action to mitigate the risk and avoid losses. Now, if you look at the solution at the core of it, the data infrastructure that we'll be building will contain all these different data points, like the internal data. We're looking at bureau data. So we have already created integrations with Experian. We are in the process of building with the rest of them. And the most interesting piece is this entire thing here, the social and newsfeed data. We have built a lot of capability around social listening. And so what we do is we look at the business in a very holistic manner. Along with the internal data and the bureau data, we also look at every information or every chatter that's out there in the public domain. And we are able to create a view which actually is lacking today. And with that, we are also able to do historical analysis, trending, and we can create daily, weekly data updates. Now, at the core of it, we have machine learning algorithms, which are used to predict the delinquencies for every business, right? So what we can do is, rather than the manual way of doing, where people would be looking, probably selecting the 10 or 20% of the loan portfolio, which might actually, or which are the more risky ones, we can do it the entire portfolio. And we can display for all the businesses the chance of going delinquent. Now, we create alerts that are human readable and actionable. So Trace actually is creating alerts, which I'll show you in a moment. And we like to call it an augmented intelligence system, because essentially whatever alerts that we create, which when the portfolio team consumes, they are able to act on it. And that learning actually happens back. Now, the value proposition that we provide with Trace is we can alert the lenders ahead of time about future defaults. They can take early action to mitigate the risk and avoid losses proactively. We can also boost efficiency for processes such as identification of low-risk profiles, which can go through auto renewals. So today, if you look at it in any bank's loan portfolio, as much as 70 to 80% of those loans can actually go through auto renewals. You don't have to go through manual renewals of those loans. And this can save the financial institution time and resources. We can also aid in CECL reporting, which are mandated reporting that's required. Now, in terms of hosting the solution, it can be on-prem or on the cloud, and we follow the best security practices. Now, just a bit about the team. We've been around since 2016. It's a founding team. We were all classmates. We did our engineering together. We also have two advisors, both of which with a lot of experience in the banking side. Joe, in fact, comes with around 20 years of experience in banking, and he actually works in the commercial lending side, especially in loan portfolio management. And that's how we actually ended up building this product. I can be reached at this end, but I'll also take the time to, show you a quick demo of the product if I have time left. So I think I have 2 minutes.
Yes, please go ahead. Yeah.
When you log into the application, use something like an alert screen. So basically what we are trying to do is make life easy for the portfolio management team. They don't have to look at the entire business portfolio. What we'll do is for every business in the portfolio, we are able to actually figure out or tell them what are those accounts in that portfolio which you need to focus on. And we give very detailed information on which they can act. There's a lot of rich information that we are actually collecting. We keep track of the FICO score, the SBI score, days beyond terms, and things like that. But the most exciting feature of this product is where we do the social listening, right? So what we can do with the product is for any business that's out there, we are able to listen into whatever information that's available today on the public media, be it on Twitter, be it on LinkedIn, be it Google News, and we are able to understand the sentiment, if it's positive or negative, the business sentiment, and which allows us to create something called a business social index. So effectively, it helps these lending institutions to figure out, even before a default happens, that there is a propensity, because there are some negative news that's around for this business, and that can lead to a default in the future. So that's one of the big value adds that we are bringing in there. So I think with that, I'd like to still take the time and take questions.
So as of now, we don't have any questions, Mr. Soni.
Okay.
And so I think the audience will get in touch with you.
Sure.
I would like to connect with you regarding your product. So thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your innovative startup story, and wishing you the best in your endeavors.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Mishma.
Yeah, my pleasure. So thank you. Thanks to all of the innovative startup storytellers for sharing your stories. I think they were perfect examples of the saying, necessity is the mother of inventions. And our innovators have identified the gap and the necessity of these products across industries and have successfully got them into the market. So thank you so much for joining and sharing your stories. With that, let's sum up this power packed, insightful day one of the Global Technology Summit 2020. And I invite for this Ms. Annie Sheen and Ms. Sahitya Raj to give the concluding remarks. First, I would like to invite Ms. Sahitya Raj. She is the Deputy Vice President for the WEE vertical of CIMSME. Commendable innate creativity combined with the multidisciplinary approach is what aptly defines her. She is a software engineer by education and choice and entrepreneur at heart. And she's in reality self motivated, great orator, content writer, fitness enthusiast, and influencer. So, over to you, Ms. Sahitya.
Thank you so much, Mishma, for this opportunity. Hope you can hear me clearly.
Yes, we can.
Yes, that's great. Wow, what an incredible lineup of eminent technology enthusiasts, eminent technology, tech-enabled business leaders, powerful representatives from various countries, diverse change and policymakers. I feel honored to be giving the concluding remarks for the first half of today's event. So many inspiring stories just flowed. I really hope all our audience are as energized, enriched, inspired, and hopeful as I am of the transformation our lives are going to undergo. Not very far in the future, but very soon. Just one question. How many of you still believe you can isolate from yourself from technology today in this digital era after listening to all that has been discussed today? If yes, to what extent and for how long? The current pandemic situation has acted as a catalyst to speed up the digital revolution and made all of us experience a glimpse of how the transformation looks like. It touched almost the life of every human being. And so today we are here on a virtual platform conducting this Global Technology Summit 2020. Let me take you through. The summit had a virtual, traditional, and spiritual beginnings, following the ritual of lighting a lamp to seek the Almighty's divine grace, so that the knowledge being shared here removes the ignorance from the minds of people in the field of technology. Ms. Mishma, our Chief Global Communication Officer, Ms. Aparna, our Global Chairperson, and Ms. Lavina Ramkisan, Director General GCPIT, have geared the stage so powerfully with their powerful talks and set high expectations on the event. Followed by that, we had our distinguished chief guest, Dr. Sriram, who started his insightful presentation with a picture of tsunami symbolizing the speed of transformation. However, he actually created a tsunami in the minds of attendees with his numbers, insights, trends, scope for advancements, work and collaboration opportunities in the field of cyberspace. There is a lot he has shared we need to think upon to survive in this digital space. Moving on, we had a very great, enthusiastic, and energetic speaker, our second chief guest, Mr. Shadrach, who had made the audience fall for his passion towards technology, in his words. He has very interestingly connected his village upbringing to the current context of unfolding digital transformation and expanding global digital economy. He has beautifully explained the process of digital transformation using the process of agriculture as an analogy. He emphasized the importance of human-centric designs, social responsibilities, and technology as an enabler of small businesses to not be confined to backyard, but to global. And one more thing, we Indians really felt proud with his ending, where he used our national father Mahatma Gandhi's quote: "Be the change you have been longing to see in the world, and your ideas will materialize and the policies will catch up." Following which, we had our proud global ambassador, Ms. Kusum Kanwar, stating her life's mission as co-creating education, that she will constantly strive to initiate and create 360 degrees community girl child education programs centered on addressing adverse diversity and social inclusion. Dear Kusum, we shall stand by you and support and encourage you. And next, we had a panel discussion on how blockchain is creating better public services. It was highly insightful. And actually, before going into the content, I would like to highlight a couple of things here. The panel was so diverse geographically that we had 5 panelists from 5 different countries, namely Morocco, Hong Kong, Israel, Ireland, and India, which brought the status and progress of technology adoption from 5 different countries, not different countries. Each panelist had an idea of what is happening in the surrounding countries too. So it was so diverse geographically and it was so insightful. Second thing, just before this, we had Kanwar talking about girl child education, and we were so lucky enough and so blessed to see 2 women participating very competitively in the panel discussion along with the other men panelists. And it was so, I feel very happy to see that. And we have to consciously encourage this to drive more girls and women into STEM. The major key takeaways from the panel discussion on blockchain were the initiatives and policies which the government has to come up to increase trust in the technology and transactions among people, have smart contracts in place, encourage teaching of blockchain concepts by blockchain practitioners itself, have a central forum in place to maintain a repository of use cases with problem statements that are suitable for India. And also they emphasized on understanding the concepts very clearly and not use the terms interchangeably like Bitcoin, blockchain, cryptocurrency. Everything is different and they mean different, so that we can come up with currencies that suit the requirements. And also there was a great discussion on the real use cases that were adopting the blockchain. It was really great to be part of this summit. And Ms. Annie will conclude the second half of the event. Mishma, you're on mute.
Yes. So, yeah, thank you, Sahitya, for the great conclusion. And now I hand over to Ms. Annie Sheen Thomas, who's the Director of Operations at Glowroad Avionics Private Limited. Having extensive experience in planning strategy, scheduling, and execution of projects, Ms. Annie is regarded as the backbone upon which GAPL has grown by leaps and bounds. So over to you, Ms. Annie, to give the rest of the concluding remarks.
Thank you, Dr. Mishma. Thank you, Sahitya, also. As we sum up the second half of day one, the second panel discussion was on fintech ecosystem in 2020 and the predicted trends for 2021. I thank Mr. Miguel Marin Orozco for moderating the panel wonderfully, and the rest of the panelists, Mr. Abhinav Gupta, Dr. Babatunde Obrima, Mr. Vonia Evans, Mr. Desmararian, and Mr. Octavio Padilla. Key takeaways from the session: the pandemic has become a catalyst for many governments all over the world in adopting fintech over regular banking, and legislations are made to implement fintech. Cryptocurrency is slowly getting accepted, and 2021 see an increase in this. Decentralized finance is definitely going to grow and will help in accepting cryptocurrencies. Prediction for 2021 is fintechization of everything, tokenization, and rise of open banking. Everything will be tech in the next years. In our segment, Meeting a Global Ambassador, we met Ms. Pratibha Gupta. She has touched and transformed over 4,500 lives and given them a machine edge in their personal, professional, and social lives through group workshops and personal consultation. In our innovative startup stories, we had Mr. Shiv Agarwal, a technology entrepreneur with a focus on improving human lives through the power of technology. Mr. Beke Gumede from South Africa, who strives to utilize knowledge to uplift and skill others in disadvantaged communities. Mr. Abhishek Bhattacharya, the co-founder at WHRRL, and is building India's first agri-lending blockchain that can save 25 to 40% of farmers' income and protect banks from millions in regular frauds. Mr. Shamir Taha, who leads a team of innovators to drive positive change in enterprises and government through adoption of blockchain and AI technologies. And finally, we had Mr. Sony Gabriel, the CEO and co-founder of Minerva Software, a boutique data analytics firm focused on AI-enabled lending solutions for any financial institution with a loan book. To conclude, let me borrow Mr. Shamir Taha's words. The future doesn't belong to the faint hearted, but to the brave. To stay as a successful entrepreneur, we need to be brave and embrace change, whether it is technology or even a pandemic. Thank you and God bless you.
So thank you, Sahitya and Annie, for summing up today's session so articulately. And with that, audience, we come to the end of day one of GTS 2020. And of course, I should take this opportunity to thank Sahitya and Miss Annie, as they were the coordinators for today, and they helped in executing the program smoothly. So thank you so much for your contribution towards that. And with that, audience, we're going to stop for now, but we're going to come back tomorrow with a dynamic session by powerful tech leaders. And we have a panel discussion on enabling digital transformation with IoT and insurance in the digital age tomorrow. So please do join us again. So till then, this is your host, Mishma Stanislaus, signing off. Good night, stay safe, and take care.
Good night, take care.
Thank you.